Okay, so getting ready for a document management officer interview can feel a little overwhelming, right?
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
But that's where we come in. We're diving deep into these guides from RoleCatcher, a career guide and an interview guide to help you really nail it.
They're full of insights about the role, common questions, and even how their AI can give you an edge.
So let's break it down. What does a document management officer actually do? It's got to be more than just filing, right?
Oh, yeah, way more. It's really evolved. Think of it more as being the curator of an organization's knowledge base, making sure it's organized, secure, and accessible.
Like a librarian for all the company's information. That's a ton of responsibility.
Exactly. And that's what these interview questions are all about, understanding how you'd approach that responsibility.
Okay, so give us an example. What's a question they might ask?
Well, a classic one is, why are you interested in document management?
And I bet some people are thinking, well, because I like to organize things.
Right, and that's a good starting point, but you need to give it more depth.
How do you mean?
Connect that love of organization to the bigger picture. Maybe you're passionate about creating systems that make everyone's jobs easier, or maybe you're all about preserving information for the future.
So instead of just saying, I like keeping things tidy, you could say, I'm fascinated by how organized information can help a company make better decisions.
Exactly. Now, interviewers also want to know about your awareness of industry trends. They might ask, what are your thoughts on the increasing use of electronic document management systems?
So that's where knowing your acronyms comes in handy, like EDMS and ERMS.
Yeah, but it's not enough to just drop the acronyms.
Yeah.
You need to show you understand what these systems actually do.
Okay, so what's the difference?
Well, an EDMS, or Electronic Document Management System, digitizes, stores, and manages documents.
Makes sense. And ERMS.
An RMS, or Electronic Records Management System, does that too, but it's also really focused on long-term preservation and legal compliance.
Interesting.
You want to be able to explain both of those briefly and why they're important for businesses today?
Okay, so you've explained all that, and then they say, tell me about a time you successfully implemented or managed an electronic document system.
That's your chance to really shine. Talk about a specific project, the challenges you faced, and how you overcame them.
What kind of things should you focus on?
Really emphasize your planning, problem solving, and communication skills. They want to see you can walk the walk.
Not just talk the talk.
Exactly. Now, another question that often comes up is, how do you ensure the security of sensitive documents?
Time to show off your security ninja skills.
Great. Go beyond just passwords. Talk about access controls, encryption, secure disposal procedures.
So you're thinking about security at every stage of the document's lifecycle.
Exactly. And you can even mention any experience you have with data privacy regulations like GDPR.
Okay, what if they follow up with something like, walk me through your process for handling a potential security breach?
This is where you show you can think on your feet and that you understand established security protocols.
So what would you say?
Outline the steps you would take: communication, investigation, damage control. You can even mention specific tools or software you'd use.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's shift gears a bit. What about this question? How do you prioritize documents for retention and disposal?
This one is all about your ability to assess value and make tough decisions. Interviewers want to hear about your system for deciding which documents are essential, which can be archived, and which can be safely disposed of.
So instead of just saying, I just follow company policy, you could say something like, I consider legal requirements, business needs, and historical significance.
Yeah, that's a much stronger answer. You could even give some examples of different types of documents and how long they need to be kept.
And this is where those insights from RoleCatcher's career guide about different career stages come in handy, right?
Absolutely. Understanding the responsibilities and challenges at each level helps you tailor your answers to show you're ready for this specific role.
Okay, so last question for now. A lot of people get nervous about system upgrades and migrations. What if they ask, how would you approach a system migration project?
Don't let that one intimidate you. It's a chance to highlight your planning and project management skills.
How would you answer?
Break the project down into phases and emphasize communication with stakeholders and minimizing disruption.
So it's not just about the technical side, but also about the people involved.
Exactly. You could even use the STAR method: situation, task, action, result, to give a concrete example from your past experience.
That's a great tip. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the specific job description and suggest tailored responses to these kinds of questions.
It's a great tool to help you prepare and feel confident.
But even beyond prepping for specific questions, it's important to show your genuine passion for this field.
Right. Let your personality shine through. A little bit of enthusiasm can go a long way. Okay, so let's dive back into those interviewing questions. Some of them can get pretty tricky.
Like what?
Well, you might get asked something like, how do you handle a situation where someone requests a document they're not authorized to access?
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. You have to be really diplomatic.
Exactly. You need to be firm but respectful. Explain the organization's policies clearly and maybe even offer to help them find other information they are authorized to see.
It's all about finding that balance between security and being helpful.
Right. And for more senior roles, you might get questions about leading a team. Something like, how do you motivate and develop your team members?
So they're looking for your leadership style.
Yeah, it's about showing you can create a positive and productive work environment. Maybe you're a big believer in mentorship or setting clear goals, or perhaps you focus on fostering collaboration and recognizing achievements.
And don't forget those behavioral questions. Everyone loves those. Like, tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult stakeholder.
Oh, yeah, those can be tough. But remember, they're trying to gauge your problem-solving and communication skills.
So how do you approach those?
Choose a specific example. Outline the situation, the actions you took, and the outcome. And try to focus on a situation where you were able to achieve a positive result.
So instead of saying, I'm good at handling difficult people, you tell a story that shows it.
Exactly. Now let's talk about a question that can often throw people off. What are your salary expectations?
Oh, the dreaded salary question. How do you even begin to answer that?
Well, first, do your research. Use resources like RoleCatcher's Salary Insights tool to get a sense of industry benchmarks.
So you go into the interview with some data to back up your expectations.
Right. And then when you answer, be confident and express your value. You can say something like, based on my experience and the responsibilities of this role, I'm looking for a salary in the range of, and then give your range.
Okay, good tip. What about the question, what is your greatest weakness? Everyone hates that one.
Yeah, but there's a good way to answer it. Choose a weakness that you're actively working on improving. Like, I sometimes struggle with public speaking, but I've recently joined Toastmasters to help me with that.
So it shows self-awareness and that you're proactive about personal growth.
Exactly. Now remember, RoleCatcher's AI isn't just for answering specific questions. It can also help you tailor your overall interview strategy.
Really? Oh.
It can analyze the job description and company profile to identify keywords and skills they're looking for.
Oh, that's smart.
And then you can weave those into your answers to show you're a perfect fit for the role and the company culture.
It's like having a secret weapon to help you stand out. Now, what about questions you should ask the interviewer?
Oh, yeah. It's so important to ask thoughtful questions. It shows you're engaged and genuinely interested.
So what are some good ones to ask?
You could ask about the company culture, the team dynamics, opportunities for professional development, or even the biggest challenges facing the department.
Anything else?
Don't be afraid to get specific. Ask about their document management systems, their approach to information governance, or even their plans for the future. It shows you've done your research.
Okay, that's a great tip. And this is also your chance to clarify anything you're unsure about.
Right, so don't be shy about asking questions.
Now let's talk about one more thing before we wrap up practicing your delivery.
Oh yeah, that's so important. And RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you with that too.
Really? How?
You can record yourself answering practice questions and then get AI-powered feedback on your delivery.
So it's like having a virtual interview coach giving you personalized tips.
Exactly. You can identify things to work on, like speaking too quickly or not making enough eye contact. It's a great way to build your confidence.
Now, I'm also curious about career advancement in this field. What kind of career paths does RoleCatcher's career guide outline?
Well, it shows how the role evolves as you gain experience and expertise. You might start out with more tactical tasks like classifying documents and supporting electronic systems.
And then as you move up?
You'd take on more responsibility for training employees, managing complex systems, and ensuring compliance with regulations.
So at a senior level, you might even be developing document management strategies and leading a team.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher even provides examples of typical profiles for each career stage so you can see what skills and experience are valued at different levels.
That's super helpful. Okay, so we've talked a lot about preparing for specific questions, but what about those unexpected curveballs that interviewers love to throw?
Yes, the curveballs. You can't always predict them, but there are strategies you can use to handle them gracefully.
Like what?
Well, first of all, don't panic. Take a deep breath and try to relate the question to something you do know. maybe a past experience, a skill you have, or some knowledge of industry best practices.
And if you're totally stumped,
Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. You can say something like, "That's an interesting question. Could you tell me a bit more about what you're looking for in an answer?"
it shows you're engaged and willing to learn.
Right. And remember, even if you stumble a little, it's not the end of the world. Interviewers know you can't be prepared for everything.
It's more about how you handle the pressure.
Exactly. And that's something you can practice with RoleCatcher's AI. Try recording yourself answering unexpected questions and see how you do.
Okay, let's circle back to one of the most important things we've talked about today. Using RoleCatcher's AI to tailor your responses to the specific job you're interviewing for.
Yeah, that's where the AI really shines. It analyzes the job description and identifies the key skills they're looking for.
And then suggest specific examples from your background to highlight.
It's like having a personal interview strategist helping you showcase your unique value.
Don't forget about their other resources too, like the resume and cover letter builder.
Oh yeah, those are great. And their salary insights tool is so helpful for researching industry benchmarks.
Okay, now let's talk about something a little different, the ethical side of document management.
Ah, yes. This is where it gets really interesting because you're not just dealing with documents, you're dealing with information that can have a real impact on people's lives.
So things like medical records, financial documents, legal contracts.
Exactly. And interviewers might ask about that directly. Like, what are your thoughts on the ethical responsibilities of a document management officer?
So what would you say?
You could talk about the importance of protecting confidentiality, ensuring accuracy, and preventing unauthorized access, and maybe even give a specific example of an ethical dilemma you've faced.
So they could see that you're thinking critically about these issues.
Exactly. Okay, now let's talk about staying up to date in this field. Technology is always changing, new regulations are popping up.
It sounds like you really need to be committed to continuous learning.
You do. And you want to show interviewers that you are. Mention any certifications you're pursuing or professional organizations you belong to.
Like ARMA International or AINet.
Yeah, exactly. Highlighting your commitment to ongoing education shows that you're passionate and adaptable.
All right, so to wrap up this deep dive, let's go over a few final tips for acing that interview.
Okay. Tip number 1, be yourself.
Let your personality shine through, and don't be afraid to show your enthusiasm.
Absolutely. Tip number 2, do your research. Learn everything you can about the organization and their document management needs.
Tip number 3, practice your answers. Use RoleCatcher's AI to record yourself and get feedback on your delivery.
And tip number 4, prepare some thoughtful questions to ask the interviewer.
Last but not least, always follow up with a thank you note after the interview.
It's a small gesture, but it can make a big difference.
So there you have it. You're armed with knowledge, insights, and a whole toolbox of resources to help you conquer that interview.
Remember, you're not just managing documents, you're managing information. And that's a powerful thing.
As we move into an even more digital world, the role of a document management officer is only going to become more important.
Absolutely. So embrace the challenge, be confident, and go make your mark. All right, so we've talked about acing the interview itself, but let's not forget about what comes before that.
You mean like prepping your resume and cover letter?
Exactly. Those are super important for making a strong first impression. And RoleCatcher's AI can really help you out here too.
So?
Their AI can analyze those job descriptions and figure out exactly what keywords and skills employers are looking for.
Oh, that's smart. So it helps you tailor your resume to make sure you're highlighting the right things.
Exactly. And then their cover letter tool can help you put together a really compelling story about why you're a perfect fit for the role.
So you're not just listing qualifications, but really selling yourself and your passion.
Right. Now, beyond the resume and cover letter, let's talk about how you present yourself during the interview. Remember, it's not just about what you say, but also how you say it.
So things like body language and eye contact.
Absolutely. Confidence and enthusiasm can really make a difference. And guess what? RoleCatcher's AI can give you feedback on your delivery too.
No way. So it's like having a virtual coach helping you with things like speaking pace and tone of voice.
Exactly. It even analyzes your facial expressions. It's a great way to practice and make sure you're projecting confidence.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've talked about the interview itself, but what about after you land the job?
Well, one of the most important things for long-term success in this field is continuous learning.
Because things are always changing, right? New technologies, new regulations.
Exactly. So you really need to stay ahead of the curve. And when you're in the interview, be sure to mention any certifications you're working towards or professional organizations you're part of.
Like RMA International or AI Faye.
Yeah, those are great examples. It shows you're dedicated to professional growth and that you're adaptable.
Okay, so let's say you've aced the interview and now you're at the salary negotiation stage. Does RoleCatcher have anything to help with that?
They do. They have a salary insights tool that helps you research industry benchmarks and see what others are making in similar roles.
That's so helpful for knowing what to ask for.
It is. It gives you confidence going into those negotiations.
Okay, so before we wrap up, let's take a step back and think about the bigger picture here. Document management officers play a really important role in organizations, right?
They do. They're the guardians of information. They make sure sensitive data is protected, that important knowledge is preserved, and that everyone's following the rules.
And as we rely more and more on digital information, their role is only going to become more vital.
Exactly. It's a field with a lot of responsibility, but also a lot of rewards.
It sounds like a really interesting and challenging career path.
It is. And if you're passionate about information and its impact, then it could be the perfect fit for you.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of document management officers.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from prepping for those tough interview questions to exploring different career paths.
And we've talked a lot about how RoleCatcher can help you every step of the way.
Their AI-powered tools and resources are amazing for anyone who's navigating the job search or looking to level up their career.
So if you're thinking about a career in document management, definitely check them out.
Absolutely. And to everyone out there getting ready for those interviews, remember, be confident, be prepared, and most importantly, be passionate.
You've got this.